Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with you today, although I can't see any one of you. I'm just happy that I was able to join and continue my advocacy in inclusive education. And so we meet again. To access the presentation materials, you know what to do if you've been in one of my presentations. There is a bit.ly link, Social Skills Training 2022. Or if you have a smartphone with a camera, go ahead and point your camera to that QR code and it will get you to the materials for today's presentation. Okay, I'll give you a minute. Okie dokie. I hope you've done that. If not, I can do so at the end of the presentation or maybe in the middle. So let's see. Next slide. Okay. So, how do you feel trying to teach social skills to students with special needs? And what we have here again is our answer garden. I've done over at least probably 30 presentations. I've lost count. And this has been a garden that has been immortalized by all your responses. So I'm going to hopefully click the link. How to get the code for ICSC challenge. Message from audience will display here. Ooh, I don't know about the ICSC challenge, but maybe Myra can put it in the chat box. So let me know if you're able to type that in your smartphone or your devices, and if you're able to access. And what I'll do right now is go to the answer garden. And hopefully you see my screen if it has changed. Can anybody respond? That's what it's quite a trip not seeing all of you, but can everybody see? Can somebody respond if they can see my the answer garden, my screen changing? Okay, maybe I can add a source, local video. That's not it. Share screen. Okie dokie. So what I'll do right now is I'll come back to that answer garden later. But if you're able to see that, you would see all the answers. And some of the answers would say they feel excited, they love it, they're comfortable, they need strategies, they're challenged, they're frustrated, they're confident, it feels awkward, they feel motivated. Some feel it's necessary, and it is necessary. That's why we're here, right? So, thank you for responding to that question, the answer garden. Oh, they're not able to access it. Let me see if I could share a different screen. And Cassie, Tammy, and Surjit, see if this screen is better because I think. Can everybody see my screen? Mm, Tammy, screen, are you able to see it? Let's see. Okay. So let me know if this is working for you. I only see no. Okay. Is it changing or is it that crazy woman with with her mouth open and she's trying to strangle herself? Okay. Well, what I'll do is I will just continue until I see any responses. Okay, this is a social skills training for students with special needs. And the woman, I can see it changing now. Oh, thank God. The woman screaming. Yes, the woman screaming. Oh, thank God. I have an audience. Okay. So, right now, you're supposed to see social skills training for students with special needs, evidence-based strategies that promote inclusive education with my name. Do you see it? Help me out. This is technology. Pulling her hair, pulling her hair. Still crazy. Same woman. It's not changing. Okay. Let's see. It's not changing. How about now? Did it change? Yeah. Okay. So I'll wait. There seemed to be a delay. So my name is Jocel Lazarito, and I'm a program coordinator for the Southwest SELPA. SELPA means Special Education Local Plan Area. We support 12 school districts in the greater LA, so that includes the beach cities, Lenox, Inglewood, Hawthorne, El Segundo, and other beach city school districts. I taught students with special needs for 15 years, and I specialize in autism. And then I've already gone to an admin position, but this is a passion that I want to share with you. I believe in inclusive education, and social skills training is one of the things that I've done in my classroom that really, really worked. Yes, I'm doing okay. Okay, so then Myra asked me if I'm doing okay. Yes, I'm doing okay. Breathe in, breathe out. So, in your presentation packet, if you happen to access those, what you'll see are these different things. You have actually a good amount of checklist. So, that's something that you could use in your classroom. Very straightforward. And then you also have the framework, which is conditioning, operant conditioning, and the person who has pioneered operant conditioning, B.F. Skinner. In your packet, you will have the social skills cue card, the presentation that I used for my students, very straightforward, and of course, the handouts. So those are the things that you could use. And let me know if you're able to access it or not. I can send the link in the chat box once again. Okay, so what we'll discuss is a little bit of introduction, background. I wish you could introduce yourself to me, but it's virtual. So I'm just hoping that I get to meet you in person again next year. Um, we'll go through introductions, background, and then I'll discuss some evidence based strategies that I've used in the classroom. And then some of the things that you can do in the classroom, in your classroom when you go back and apply it and teach the strategies to your students with disabilities. Some practical uses, I've had parents that used it in the playground with their children because it's a very straightforward lesson or training. It's not really, there's not a lot of difficulties generalizing the use to different environments. And of course, there's an exit ticket, and I can give you a certificate once you've filled out that exit ticket. Okie dokie. So, objectives, we will understand today the importance why we need to include all students at school. And all of us will recognize the social skills deficits of students with special needs. So I thought before, okay, it's social skills deficit, and it's the same across my students. I was wrong. So each student has particular um, need when it comes to social skills training, and we'll find out more about it later on in the presentation. And then we'll learn to use at least one strategy, just one strategy. Take home one strategy to explicitly teach social skills to your students. Okay, in 2018 to 19, the number of students aged 3 to 21 who are in special education rose to 7.1 million. That is equivalent to 14% of all public school students. That is a very, it's a huge amount and it's increasing. Okay. So in fall of 2018, 95% of the children or the students from 6 to 21 started going into regular schools. And guess what? 65% of them um, was in the classroom, 80% of the time participating in general education classes. So, what does that mean? So, what it means is in the classroom, in a classroom of about 24 kids, there is about one or two students with disabilities who are participating in the gen ed curriculum. So, as the years go by, the numbers have been increasing. And the question is, why is there a push towards inclusion? I'll give you the answer. Okay. So it has been found out that students with special needs in inclusive classroom are actually lonely. They had fewer social skills, they have more problem behaviors, they think of themselves very poorly, and that is in comparison with the students who are their gen ed peers their gen ed peers. Um, it's very common for you to see kids with disabilities eating by themselves in the lounge room, right? In the lunchroom or during recess, they're by themselves. And if their numbers are growing, these kids are left in isolation throughout the day, and it gets to them. And this doesn't help, right? So sometimes they act up to get attention and they get sent to the office. And then the people at the office, they have a biggest heart, but they don't know about the kids, how they'll manage or give them strategies so they can they know what they've done and they can do things differently. Instead, they return to your class and they have Starburst or a teddy bear or whatever it is that is more enforcing for the maladaptive behavior that they've shown. So the lack of social skills manifest as, like I said, loneliness. They have social anxiety. So these are the kids that when you started virtual classes, they don't like their video buttons. They turn it off. They don't like to look at themselves. There's a lot of peer rejection and resultantly poor academic performance. And these are studies by Singh in 2016. And according to two authors, Battaglia and Stephens, social skills is critical to being a successful student, adult, and employee. It is critical because once I've trained my students using the social skills training that I'm going to show you, they became more confident. And that translated to their confidence in answering questions during recitation in the class, volunteering for different jobs in during recess time or at the lunchroom, and things like those. Um, Having the courage to recite during reading, although they have speech deficit. So it translates to a lot of things. That's why it is imperative that we teach the kids explicitly about social skills. Social skills students are more successful in school, right? So just like academic skills, social skills need to be explicitly taught. It has to be addressed. But how are we going to do it, right? So let's take a look at um, how, well, books first. These are the books that I've used in my little case study in my classroom. And my favorite actually is the one by published by Springer. This on the right hand side, evidence based practices and treatments for children on the spectrum. And in the middle, these are all the evidence based practices supported by your captain. So if you have a captain cadre, um, which I am a member of, they have all the evidence based strategies and social skills training according to age group and to see whether or not it will work or if something else is better. Because as the student progresses into adulthood, social skills training would look different. Okay. So then So, what was my goal? So, my goal for social skills training is that I would increase the students' social position through the social skills training. It's a three-pronged model. And with that, my hypothesis, very scientific, right? So, my whole thinking was if I increase their social skills, if I develop their social skills, and if I increase that would increase their social position, and that would increase their school success based on evidences, right? Based on research. And I tested that and it happened. And I was so happy. Okay. But where did I begin? So this one is not showing in your, let me see. Okay. So this is a video, and I showed it to my students. It's about saying hello. So it all starts with saying hello. Little kids, they don't just, you know, act like magnet to each other. They have to speak. There has to be eye contact. They have to say hello. What's your name, right? It doesn't happen naturally. There has to be some form of interaction. And unfortunately, that piece is missing with students with disabilities, right? So I thought, hold on, if these kids are saying it starts with hello, why don't I use that with my students? So first I needed to define, okay, what social skills did I want to teach, because it's so broad. Social skills can be eye contact when you are perhaps buying coffee from Starbucks, right? And that's very difficult with students on the spectrum. So I had to define what social skills for me and for my students look like. So I defined social skills as nonverbal or verbal behavior. And according to Singh, it is social skills if there's one component. It's a successful social exchange. So there's interpersonal communication and there's engagement. So in that manner, the students learn from each other and it has to be independent. So I wouldn't mark it successful, and I would note in there if my IA or my para educator initiated the conversation or the exchange, because then what is the difficulty there? The difficulty to initiate, right? So I would know that that is a skill I need to explicitly bring back to my classroom and reteach to the student. Does that make sense? Of course, you're not going to answer because I can't see you. But I'm happy you're here. So that is how I define social skills. Now, if I have what I think social skills would look like, and I want to establish a gap or a lack, I don't like gap, a lack, something that you can fill, right? So I want to know what the deficit is, where I could come in and teach the kids. And according to Jacobson, these are the deficits of students with intellectual disability or developmental disability. What are the examples? Examples are your students with orthopedic impairment, speech and language impairment, and things like those. So they have actually a little beginning social skills baseline, but it's very limited. So, what does limited look like? One of my kids who had SLI occurring with his autism had fewer interactions. For example, when he goes to practice social skills training in the lunchroom, whereas one of my students would already have 5 interactions with uh, peers, he would only have 3. So then, and then when he initiates the conversation, he would have fewer responses. So, and because he has cognitive processing delay as well. So, those kinds of things play. They have a little bit of social skills, but again, initiation is fewer, and the responses are fewer as well. So what happens is the kid, the peer buddy, starts to run away before even he could respond. Because you know how kids are. I want to play during recess. I'm not standing here waiting for you to answer, right? So because of this, they have limited friendships, and it's less stable. It's during the school day when they see the friend in the playground in the community, they won't make interactions, or they would not smile at their peers. They also have low empathy. So what it looks like is that if the student, their peer buddy shows emotion, they don't know how to process that, and they also have limited ability to process social information. And so much so because most of them I've seen have cognitive processing delays. They have 10-minute delay, 10-second delay. That's very long time, 10 minutes, right? So 10-second delay. So I had to teach the peer body, okay, your peer has needs 10 seconds. So just count in your head when he's talking. After he talks, just give him 10 seconds and he'll respond. And the peer buddy agreed. Now, for students on the spectrum, it looks different because of 3 things. There is no social reciprocity. Even if there is social reciprocity, it's very brief, almost like they're very uncomfortable with it. There is a lot of nonverbal communicative behavior for social interaction. I had a student, and his verbal behavior was to come and contact shoulder to shoulder with his peer buddy. And I told him that's not something that they understand. It might have worked for him in other social situations, but in the playground, you can't just, rub your shoulders or your elbows with another person, another peer. So I taught him you have to face the person, smile, make eye contact, and say, hello, let's play, and things like those. They have difficulty developing, maintaining, and understanding relationships. So sometimes when I have a student with ASD, more so pointing and Asperger's syndrome, he tends to just blurt out things. So we would go through it before the social skills training, so he understands that this friendship is a relationship. You don't want to hurt your peer buddy by just blurting out things that's in your mind. So I taught him those bubbles. The bubbles that I use in the classroom were just a piece of paper. He would write his thoughts and then he would put it in his pocket. So literally, he's imagining himself when he goes in the playground that his bubble is there and is writing words in it. And it's because it's not something that you want to say to your peer, you put it in your pocket. Okay, so those are the deficits of students in the spectrum. So I said, well, they said that my kids come from different social skills baselines. So how do I find out? I don't know what one of my students have or have not compared to my other kid, So then, when in doubt, assess and find out. So you have in your packet a lot of assessment tool. My most favorite, let me see, is this one. the one that has a checklist, and it's on the left bottom of your screen and the right topmost. So those are my favorite assessment tools. Why? Because if you ask me, I could give this readily to a parent, and I did. I made her evaluate the student, her kid at McDonald's, to see if the student was able to move closer and things like those. So I taught her how to use this, very straightforward. Even my parents like it. And then I compare the data and present it during the IEP meeting. Okay, so these are your evidences. And again, I'm going to give you about six, but I'm going to focus on peer tutoring. Um, there are different strategies that you could use in inclusive settings for your students with special needs. You have what you call cooperative learning. This is really valuable for middle schools and high schools. Peer tutoring more for it's across grade levels, but a lot of evidence points to elementary kids. So that's what I use because I had a K through second class. You also have formative assessment, of course, direct instruction. There are metacognitive strategies, but very abstract. So for kids who are very concrete thinkers, just like our students on the spectrum, that doesn't always work. And then, of course, you have your FBA, functional behavior analysis. So we're gonna look at peer tutoring. So these are other strategies, especially with students on the spectrum. They responded quite nicely to in vivo and video modeling. They really love that for some reason. Peer buddies that worked well with them, and peer initiation training. There are other strategies that captain has. If you have a captain cadre member, I can probably send it to your emails, or probably put the link in our resources folder, your virtual packet, so you can access those. I really like in vivo and video modeling, and my kids ran away with it, so we're gonna have more of that. Let me see, time check. I have 30 minutes. So I'm very happy to see that it is supported by Wong in 2015. Remember, I showed you it's almost like a textbook used by Captain. Um, and Wong is one of the authors of those evidences. So they compiled all the researches that works for social skills, for academics, for behavior, and things like those for students on the spectrum. And they came up with social skills training as an evidence-based strategy. So that's why I pointed out here. But again, you have something there that could be of use. It's the list of strategies and the grade level of your students on the spectrum, whether or not that strategy will work in that certain grade level. Perhaps I told you peer tutoring is more for elementary, and then your social skills training also more for elementary, and for adolescents it's more of social skills group. So that's all in there. So we have a poll activity. I don't know if I can do that because my screen is not it's not responding. So this is supposed to be a poll activity, and you are going to watch a video and you're going to vote. So what I'll do is I'll just explain, and let's see. This is a question. So, what is the evidence-based social skills strategy based on what you watched? And if I click it, you see that it's not working. Okay. So it doesn't change when I click it. So what I'm going to do is, okay, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to explain the scenario. So this student has multiple disabilities and she cannot read. However, well, she cannot verbally read. However, she is beginning to read, and this is student who is reading the words to her. And what she's doing is she's pointing to the word as it is being read by that other student. So, what kind of evidence based social skill strategy did the student use or the teacher used for the student? Is it video modeling, in vivo modeling, peer tutoring, or peer initiation training? Let's see. Okay. So the answer is what? Can you put it in the chat box if you're still listening? Okay. What is the answer? The chat box is a little slow. Okay. Put the answer there. Is it A, B, C, or D? I'll wait for one answer. Oh, there's a 30-second delay. Okay, my bad. Go ahead and I'll wait for your answer for 30 seconds because they said the delay is 30 seconds. Let me see. D. Okay. I see D, peer initiation training by Andrea. Anything else? Any more answers? Thanks, Andrea. D, D, D. Peer initiation training. So this is actually peer tutoring. Okay. I know, but sometimes they overlap. But hear me first why. Okay. And you will get a clearer picture. And sometimes they overlap. So it's C and D. Um, it's more of peer tutoring for this reason. Let me see if my screen changes. Okay. So the reason why it's peer tutoring because there is assistance in learning and it's towards academics. There's peer mediated instruction. So the peer is almost acting like a teacher in a way. And the children are the sources of information. So it can be highly structured or semi structured. But what's important is that it can be individual one on one, just like what you saw. It can be small group or it can be the whole class. So in your practice, how you're going to use it is depending on what it will depend on what your students actually respond to. Okay. So, oh, I lost it. Okay. So it's actually what your students respond to. Perhaps they respond to individuals. Um, so that would be one on one. Perhaps they will respond to a small group. Perhaps they have great response to the whole class because they have good imitation skills while they get motivated seeing the whole class do it, right? So children as tutors. Okay, next one. So in this video, I wish I could show you this video. So in this video, what you're going to see is my classroom. It's a little bit cluttered, not that much. But here, there is a peer. So as you can see, I'm not in the picture. I'm only coaching. I'm right here. If you see my cursor, I'm right by my desk. And these are two peers. Okay, they are practicing on the PowerPoint and they are holding in their hand the cue cards and they're practicing on the skill themselves. So they're watching the PowerPoint, they're looking at the cue card, they have all those strategies. And gradually, I took it one by one off from the condition and then see if they can do it without these scaffolds. Okay, so what is evidence-based social skill strategy? Is it in vivo modeling? In vivo means live. peer initiation training, video modeling, or peer buddies? So 30 seconds. Let me drink water while you're doing that. I hope you're having a good conference so far. Okay, let's see. Are you still in there? Do you have answers? Let me move this going down. Okay. Oh, are there answers? Trying to move my cursor. Oh, okay. 7 people said D. Andrea, is this for this question, poll number 2? And thanks, Andrea. How about here? What is evidence-based social skill strategy when there are 2 bodies being a model for each other, one with greater skill? What is that? Okay. Myra said 30 seconds. You have to give them 30 seconds. Okay. I'll wait. Okay, let's see if we have answer C. Almost. Yeah. Yes, almost, almost. What is it? Okay. Let's see if the others can. Cheryl said, yeah, I see Cheryl and Andrea. How about the other people? What do you think? Okay, I won't say your name, what you said about that. So it's actually A, in vivo modeling, live modeling. So video modeling is showing a video, but you're right. It can be C or A because there's also video modeling. But since there are 2 people copying each other, and one of them it has higher social skills, then it's in vivo modeling. That means live modeling. Okay. So answer is leaning more on in vivo modeling. Okay, let's proceed. Okie dokie. In vivo modeling. So in vivo modeling, there are different things that you have to remember. First, there has to be a peer model with a higher and developmentally appropriate behavior. Second is a caveat. It has to be a natural environment. I know that I did in vivo modeling in a fake environment because it's simulated, it's in the classroom. But then I did the same thing after I taught them in the classroom. I took it from the classroom setting and I brought it to recess and I brought it to lunch. I brought it to assemblies. So there has to be a peer model, and the student has to be able to attend to multiple cues, see the behavior, see the behavior being modeled. There has to be a context and there has to be a consequence. That's why I like it during recess because the consequence is what? Their favorite play, right? So the peers will be effective models, and social skills are maintained longer because it's in the natural environment. And then it's the responses vary because it's less memorized. Although we know that our students on the spectrum memorizes everything, right? So the next one, how many more minutes? Let's see. Oops, I have about 20 minutes. So in here, the next one. This is called social skills. I forgot what it's called, but it's about social skills. It's a video training, and it's also available on YouTube. So what I did was I had the students watch a video of what happens when you say hello or carry out a conversation or introduce yourself. So they're just watching a video. So then let's see. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then what is this evidence-based social skills strategy? So the evidence-based social skills strategy, is it video modeling, peer buddies, initiation training, or in vivo modeling? So 30 seconds. Let me see your answers. Is it A, B, C, or D? And this is for Paul, number 3. Is it video modeling? I think it's obvious, right? Okay. Waiting for your responses. Let me see. Perfect. Cheryl and Cassie. Cheryl, you're very fast. Video modeling, correct. And this really works so much so that I gave you all your YouTube links that I've used that you could use for your students. There's even one where the student learns how to converse on the telephone, why he can't just talk and talk, and things like those. But I've never seen one conversation about texting. That should be something, right? Okay, so the answer is video modeling. So in video modeling, what the students need to see is a target skill explicitly on the video. So when you're doing this, try to choose. What I did was I videoed my students, but when I'm looking at videos as resources on YouTube, I try to pick something that does not have a lot of chaos in the background. So I've given you some links, and what I like about it is that I could repeat the explicit skill or the behavior that I want over and over again, and they like it, and they're able to learn it easily because of the repetition of the video. So there's better attention because it's visual. There's a lot of motivation, and I could teach complex behaviors. So what are the behaviors that I've taught? Saying hello, eye contact. I've also taught behavior of taking turns. Those are things that they're having. I've taught a behavior about thinking first before speaking for my students with Asperger's. According to research, there are increased social initiations with video modeling. Skill maintenance is increased too, and as well as generalization. That's why I really like video modeling, because there are a lot of things that my students on the spectrum could use when I use this strategy. So this is a YouTube video on what does it mean when the teacher says, "Are you ready to listen?" or "Let's read" or something. So how to pay attention. Okay, so the next one is about a little girl and her classmate. And in this context, you're going to see that what you don't see, because I'm not playing the video, is that they are paired throughout the day. So the question is, what is this evidence-based social skill strategy? When you pair the buddies throughout, I said the answer. When you pair the children throughout the day. I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, go ahead. How many seconds do we have? 15 minutes. After this, I'll go really fast. Okay. I see answers. Okay, let's see. Stay with me. Stay with me. What are your answers? Okay, 30 seconds. Is it A, B, C, or D? Is it peer buddies, video modeling, in vivo modeling, or peer initiation training? That's your answer. Okay, I see answers. Let's see. Woohoo! I'm done with my work here. You guys are great. Peer buddies. That's correct. So peer buddies, let's see. Peer buddies, what it is that's important and different is that the child is paired with a peer. So the student with this disability is paired with a peer and instructed to play and what have you all throughout the day. Okay, so the peer is not taught. There is increased social interaction and responses according to research. With training, the responsiveness to social nuisance are increased, and there is longer duration of interaction. And also a good way to generalize the skill. What researchers found out about it is that it's very organic. So it depends on what the kids are talking about because there's no training for the peer body. One thing though, you have to remember staff may or may not give guided responses, but if the staff is giving a lot of guided responses, they cannot be independent with learning their social skills and applying them in different social situations. So, finally, this video is about a little girl, and they were watching. And no, they're not watching. They are reading in the library. So what the difference is here is that this little girl, the girl wearing blue in this video, was pulled out, and she was taught um, a strategy, and then she came back and used the strategy to the student with disability, the girl wearing red. Okay, so again, the girl, they were interacting during library time. And so the girl in blue was pulled out. She was given a strategy, and then she came back to the library area and she did the strategy with her friend who has a disability. Okay, so what is that strategy? I didn't give you time to answer. Peer initiation training. So, what is important in peer initiation training is that it is individual and skills based. So, what happens is the teacher pulls out the peers to teach a strategy to a student with disability. There is increased social engagement, but the responses are very guided. So, it's good for if you want to teach a certain skill, for example, eye contact. um, but with the responses, it seems a little bit, it's not organic, it seems a little bit practiced. So I use that too, but not as much. I want the kids to be independent. So what I did is I targeted a skill. I identified a strategy, which was peer buddies and peer tutoring, or peer buddy system, and then peer tutoring as well. Gave them opportunities to rehearse, and then gave corrective feedback and then reinforcement. Um, let's see. So these are the strategies that I use. The framework is from B.F. Skinner, and it's used in operant conditioning. So it said that, simply put, the student, according to the operant conditioning framework, the student, um, or any student for that matter, is capable of manipulating the environment to get what he or she needs or what they need. Okay. So give them the correct environment, manipulate the environment, then they can be more successful. So with that framework, what we can, how can we apply it in our students on the spectrum with social skills training? So set up for them a conducive environment, train them, and let them practice in that conducive environment. And then what you're going to do is, if you've seen mastery in that environment, present the same opportunity, a lot of opportunities in another environment with a novel peer, meaning a peer that's new, has not been trained, and see if your student with disability would be able to use the skill strategy, social skill strategy that you taught them in that novel setting with a novel peer. Okay, so that's operant conditioning in about 2 minutes. Okay, so this was supposed to be a speed reading activity, but I'm just gonna go through it. So, peer initiation of social skills interaction was the purpose of the social skills training that I carried out in my classroom. And I focus on peer buddy system, video modeling, and in vivo modeling, and a visual schedule. Um, so, this is what I used to guide my mind because I want to remember that these three things should triangulate when I use it with my students with special needs. And then later on, piece by piece, I took it away. And so then I tested if the social skills were retained. Okay, so as a team, I had to um, go to my special ed peeps and find out who my peer buddies would be. And it's very important you establish relationships because most of them are like, no, no. But once you get those relationships with a Gen Ed colleague, they will give you good advice on which peers to choose for your students with disability. You don't have to invent anything. That's why it's a very easy strategy, this social skills training, because the videos are on YouTube. I will give you the link. It's in your resource folder. You also have a visual schedule. You just need to print and laminate it for posterity. You need to have a room setup though, and it's a simple setup. It's just the usual, like a circle time or a reading time area to practice in vivo modeling of the skills. I collected data, but you know what? I use that very simple checklist. 5 minutes flat, we were able to capture behavior. And that's what I bring to the team during the IEP because I made it a part of the students' IEP social skills training. And then I give it to the parent and I said, okay, let's see if this works in McDonald's when you go there this weekend. Let me know. And I trained her using the data collection, very straightforward. And I compared the data that she got from the play structure at McDonald's and my data, and they're almost the same. So that's what I like. Materials. So these are all, hopefully, you have an LCD projector or a TV in your classroom, age appropriate toys. Those are the things you'll need. I made it into a goal. It's so easy to make it into a goal because then you can test it with your students, and there is already a SSD data collection instrument ready for you, which is can be a part of the student's IEP. What I like about it is that when you integrate it into the student's IEP, it's then and there. You have a data collection tool, boom. You just give it to your IEP team, including the parents, and you capture the data. So it's in your resource folder. The standard, you don't have to invent the wheel. It's CCSS, ELA and listening and speaking standards. It has been linked. So that's if you want to know my schedule, what my schedule looked like, it's in there. It's in your slide. And again, I'm gonna upload it right after my presentation, so you just could go in there and download those resources. So I did support training. How many minutes do I have? I have 13 minutes. Okay. I did support training with the peer buddies and with the paraprofessionals. The paraprofessionals was a little bit there's more hard work for paraprofessionals than with kids because the paraprofessionals come from the biggest hearts and they want to help all the time. And I said, no, there's already mastery. Pull out your help, let them do it themselves. So I had to teach them about degree, how and when to intervene, especially when it's the outside environment or we're in the playground or the lunchroom. Okay. So preparation, you have your visual schedule. This worked I think this will work. Middle schoolers might not like it. 1, 2, 3, 4 might be good. So what I did is for my K through second kids, this worked really, really well. I cut it up. I put it in a folder, and then if they're done with it, they either point it or they take it off from a Velcro and put it in their pocket because they walked closer to the pier. They looked at the pier with eye contact. They smiled and they said hello. Okay, those are the steps. And the next thing are the pre-teach materials that I had ready from YouTube. And these are some of the things that I used. There are a lot of them on YouTube. I created a PowerPoint lesson that's ready for you to use. It uses in vivo modeling. So what I like to do is, together with our visual schedule, I did the PowerPoint in big screen, and they did it live. They modeled it in front of me with a peer. And then I brought it outside the classroom once they show me mastery. That's your PowerPoint lesson. And this is what it looks like. So these are the kids. So at first I was teaching them. These are my students, no Gen Ed yet. And then later on, I invited Gen Ed to be with them and watch this simple PowerPoint presentation. So this is another video, and I don't think it's gonna work. I have 2 minutes. But again, you can view it in your slide, which will be available in your resources. You can watch it in your own time. What I did and what I wanted you to do actually is watch this video and pick a data collection instrument you want to use, just so you know that you have that eye to collect the data that you wanted. And you could use either this one on which is my favorite, the blue one on the right topmost, or the left one, which is more of an IEP material. Okay, so that's your homework. That's not going to be checked. It's up to you. Let's see. So this is a success story, Mateo. And if you're going to do this, don't forget to get release. I have release for the kids. But based on his IOP objective, he met it with accuracy in 2 out of 3 trials. So you can see that one of the things that I like about this is that the student, it's a novel peer, was going to run away because she wanted to play ball. And Mateo said, hold on, stop. Hi, my name is Mateo. What's yours? So he really knew that he has to go through those steps. And it is a novel peer. So that's a step. He took courage. So how can you use this? You can use this in the classroom as part of the student's IEP. You can use this during recess. You can play, you don't even have to gather data. Just play the turn-taking skills that I had for you as a link on YouTube. So your students can just, if that's a deficit that they have, they can take turns in a conversation. Okay. So you can use a pre-teach schedule for recess or the playground. Again, video modeling. You can use a data collection instrument as part of your student IEP goals. It can be a turn-taking skill. That's a part of the IEP. Okay, so in summary, evidence-based, there are a lot of them, but we studied video modeling and peer training. And peer buddies really work, especially with elementary. Okay, it's telling me stop and the time is up. And of course, I leave you with this. Teach a child how to play and he will make it through the day. Teach a child how to make friends and he will make it through life. There is a research by one of the Ivy League schools, and they said that people live longer not because of the medicine they take, their health, working out, all the money they have. You know what? They live longer because of social interactions, because of friends. So these kids need the same friendship that you have. I wouldn't be here right now if I don't have friends that I could run to whenever um, I need one, or they could run to whenever they need me. So let's give that gift to these kids. It's very simple, very straightforward. Just make time for it in your classroom to explicitly teach a skill. Um, and with that, I don't have time for question and answer, but I want to know how I could do this better. I know you're gonna say about you're gonna tell me about technology, but please, I want to know how I could do it better. This is an advocacy that's close to my heart. So please do tell me what you think, and I will email you the certificate. Tell me what you think about the presentation, if anything I would need to add on it, or if I need more time. And this is the link bit.ly teach SST, or you can scan this QR code and then I will email you your certificate. So, with that, join me in my advocacy for the meaningful inclusion of students with disabilities. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I don't take any payments. I just want to support you in your important work, um, supporting your students with disabilities, because you are their strongest advocate in the classroom, at least for 6 to 8 hours a day. Thank you so much. It's been nice to have you again, and I hope to see you soon at the next training or the next teacher conferences. Thanks, everyone. Or I could stay for questions because it says I have. Oh, no, I can't. I'm over by 2 minutes. So thanks, everyone. And anyone who wants to ask, this is the link teach2include@gmail.com. After this, I'll put all the resources in the inclusion collaborative folder for this presentation. So thank you. Hope you're having a good school year. Bye, everyone.